All right, we're live. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's go. All right, I'll wait a minute for everyone to hop in. I've got some fun questions for y'all today, so let's have a good time with this. Here we go. And we are live on Facebook, live on Insta. What's up, friends? What's going on, guys? What up, Renee? She just jumped in on Insta. Hello, my friend. Jeannie joined. Shauna, what's up? What up, Kevin Jazz, my man? Good to see you on here, my friend. All right, guys, let's go. What's up, Tina? Tina, you got the coolest last name, Messerschmidt. That is a cool name. I'm sure it probably took forever when you were a kid. You had to write it out every time. That must have been pretty gnarly. But what a cool name. I love it. Good morning, Sarah Wilson and Shelly Pink. Hello, my friends. Yo, what's up, Insta Amoeb from France? What? Robert Delgado, my man, season 5. Let's freaking go. What's up, dude? What's up, Todd? Todd J77. What's up, Jennifer? Jennifer Gallant, 7476. Good morning, Stephanie Spade. I hope everything went well with the open houses yesterday. Looking forward to hearing about that. Hello, Norway. Oh my gosh, this is so super cool. Okay. So let me see. Oh, we got Finland in the house right now. We got Norway here. JD Wohlers, good morning. Tina says, yes, I get 2 points for at least I pronounced your last name right. Messerschmidt. I love it. Tammy Mooney. I hope you're having a great Monday too, Tammy. Hey, Janet Taylor. All right, man, everything's flying in real quick. Apo Merlin says, oh my gosh, congratulations. He's lost 65 pounds. He's under 200 for the first time in over 20 years. Yes, dude, let's go. Wonderland, congratulations, my friend. That's incredible. Hey, what a great way to start the Monday. What a beautiful announcement. Thank you. Let me see. Okay, on Instagram, here we go. SJ Warschmarts. Did I get it? He said, don't try producing, or she said, don't try pronouncing my last name. I think I tried that last week, didn't I? I apologize for butchering it. Give me like the pronunciation, the cheat sheet, if you will. It'd really help. JM07. First live that you're watching. Well, welcome. Huge welcome. Hey, Chris Rawlings, thank you, brother. Says I'm the man. I wish dude, I should just have that on repeat around here, like especially when I'm feeling a little bit down. I'll just keep looking back at that. Oh, here we go. Vancouver Island in Canada. I love it. Vancouver and the Victoria, the whole area is just absolutely beautiful. We got Mexico here. One more from Finland. Germany, Deutschland is in the house. All right. Hey, guys, really quick. I want to say just hello to a few more people. Maria Cesares, good morning. Good morning, Stacy Capadona. She's got a question already, and then here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna answer this question really quick, and then I've got questions for you guys, and I'd love your participation in this so we can have a little bit of fun on this Monday morning. She says, yeah, she's got her 17-year-old son actively lifting heavy for a year. He's 5'3", 128. Yo, that sounded like me when I was a kid. Super fit, muscles all sharp. He wants to put on more muscle, needs to gain weight. You have protein after protein and carb cycle approximately. Any recommendations? It's for him, it's going to be calories. The more that he can actually, probably one of the best ways that he can consume enough calories is going to be through shakes, just because it's liquid, it'll empty out of his stomach faster and get into his small intestine. So at least he won't feel as full, especially, I mean, it's tricky, especially because protein makes you feel full. Of course, fiber makes you feel full. Water, air volume makes you feel full. But for him, I would say like 3 solid meals, but it's going to be hard to eat him at that much solid food. So if you can actually just break it down to like 3 liquid shakes in between, but in those shakes, I say load him up, not just protein either. He needs carbs and fats. He needs all of it. He just needs calories. And so, I mean, I'd say throw some peanut butter in there, maybe even throw some ice cream in there. I'm telling you, if he wants to just put on weight, he just needs to push calories and liquid calories. And they would probably make it a little bit easier and less uncomfortable for him to be able to consume that much. But that's usually what I've done. I've helped out like a lot of my friends, with their boys, and their girls who might be in sports who want to gain weight. We get them all drinking shakes in between their meals. And it's usually one of the fastest ways to do it. So I hope that helps. Okay, really quick, guys. I'm not in the hot seat anymore. Y'all are in the hot seat. I've got a question for you, and I hope this is a fun one. Okay, so let's have a good time here. If there is, I want you guys to drop it into the comments right now, and I'll call you out. What is your word for the week? Like, what is your word that's going to represent you this week? What's it going to be? So drop it in the comments and I'll call you out. Let's go. What's it going to be? Stephanie says fun. I love that. C Quigs 21 says move. Avocado Antics determined. I love it. Chris Rawlings accomplish. Kim Kabbalah, what's up, my friend? Preserving. Okay, I love it. That's a really smart thing to do. Sometimes you got to just sit back and say, okay, I'm going to preserve my energy. I'm going to preserve my sanity. That's great. Discipline, says Jonah. Consistency, says Carolyn. Intentional, from Marcy. Strength is Monito Loco. I love it. Hola, Chile. Family, beautiful, says Uncle Dan Photography. All right. Freedom, says Elizabeth. Okay, over here on Instagram, we're looking at, okay, here we go. I'm going to read through these fast. Georgia says determined. BJ, what's up, BJ? Says focused. Sarah says boldness. Tina, positivity. Andy, healthy food. Andy, that's 2 words, but I'm going to let it go because I love it so much. So Sandy says sassy. Danielle, what's up, my friend? And the resilience. John says consistent. Sarah, joy. Beautiful. Kimberly Cox, what's up, my friend? Perseverance. Peggy, hello, consistent. Heather says consistent. Mona says faith. Emily says progress. She actually says 3 words, but I'm going to say them out loud because I think these are 3 words that we should all live by, especially all of you perfectionists out there. She says progress over perfection. We say it all the time in my community, in the collective, because I can't tell you how many people come in, especially when they're on a weight loss, wellness journey, whatever it might be. And it's like, it's all or none, black and white. It's got to be perfect. No, there's no such thing. We're always focusing on progress over perfection. I love that, Emily. Thank you for sharing. Maria says fire. Let me see. Rosario, commitment. I love it. Shelly, positivity. Okay, back over here to Instagram. We've got Elizabeth, freedom. Lucius says, Lucius joined. Here we go. Tanda says survival. Okay, you got this. Hang in there. Carrie, 2 words, early mornings. I feel you there. It's 5 a.m. wake ups for me. Maybe that's not too early for some of you, but it's, though, I must say, I really love the early to bed, early to rise thing. Kim Kabbalah says preserving. By the way, really quick, little bonus question. Does anyone know who said early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise? I just want to throw it out there just to see if anyone knows. I remember hearing it when I was a kid and it stuck with me. And even though I didn't always live my life that way, every single time I kind of go back to that grind, it takes a little while to get used to it. But when I'm in it, holy smokes. I don't know about you guys, but it's a game changer. Mary Close is Dr. Seuss. No, I don't think it was Dr. Seuss. Todd J got it. Said Ben Franklin. That's right. Ben Franklin said it. Uncle Dan Photography got it too. Oh, and so did Elizabeth. Holy smokes. A bunch of Ellen Kelly did, or Kelly Ellen. Is it Ellen Kelly or Kelly Ellen? Well done. Well done. And by the way, Mary Chloe, here's a fun little fact. I actually shared the same birthday as Dr. Seuss, of all things, and John Bon Jovi, and let me see, Mikhail Gorbachev. So if you're wondering, it's March 2nd. So it's past. Okay, guys, one more question for y'all. Here we go. Uh, okay, time to get real. Let's have a little bit of fun, but it's not so much serious because it's really important also that we don't take ourselves so damn seriously on this journey through life, and especially when it comes to like the weight loss, wellness, fitness journey. You got to have fun with it. So here's my question for you: What what's one thing that threw you off this weekend? If anything, did anything throw you off this weekend? And what was it? So that you can name it right now and move on. So if there's anything that's just kind of hanging over you right now that you just want to just name it so you can just get it off your shoulders. Because the thing is, if it stays up here, it's going to keep messing with you. So what's the something that just kind of hung you up this weekend a little bit that you want to just get it out, name it, and then move on and then let it go? What is one thing, if anything, or you know what? Maybe you had a great weekend. Oh, here we go. Self doubt, says Josephine. Birthday dessert. Yeah, that can absolutely be something that throws you off for sure because that can turn into a few other things. Marcy says chocolate peanut butter trail mix from Great Value. Yeah, that'll throw me off. You know, here's another trail mix that'll throw me off is the Kirkland trail mix from Costco. Do not ever put me in the same room with a bag of Kirkland trail mix from Costco. It does not end well. That's for sure. Um, oh, Stephanie. Stephanie said got emotional from watching Lilo and Stitch, but you released some pent up trauma. That's amazing. It's it's crazy. I watched the cartoon version of Lilo and Stitch this weekend with Ruby of all things. So just we wanted to catch that before we go see the live action. By the way, how was it? Drop it in the comments. Let me know. Um, let me see here. Recovering from vacation. Yes, that can absolutely do it. Okay, Sons 1989 says self doubt and dessert. Yep, Elizabeth, emotional eating for comfort. By the way, guys, thank you for sharing. I know it takes a lot of courage, especially in a public forum like this, but yeah, let it go. By the way, it also takes some courage in order to transform. Like, and maybe this is really good practice. Just as, because remember, if you don't name it, then you can't tame it. Remember that. And so if anything's just on your shoulders that you just need, it's not that you need to get it out, but if you don't, it will continue to weigh you down and it will continue to mess around in your head. It's so important that we get it out, whether it's written, whether it's right here in the threads, whether you speak it into existence, put it on a whiteboard, whatever it is, write it in a journal and tear it up and throw it away. Whatever it is, if you can name it, you can tame it. So, guys, thanks for playing along with this. Let me see. Emily says her husband's being away at training kind of threw her off. I get that. Um, I'm laughing because okay, Sarah. Sarah said the payday Powerballs almost threw you off yesterday. I warned you. Okay, guys. So we did meal prep yesterday with the collective, which is it's my community, right? And we meal prep every Sunday. We made the most, and I'm such a huge fan. We I don't know about you guys, but I love payday bars, right? And I have been on a mission to make the most delicious payday bars that I could ever possibly make. And I think we did it. So they're called payday Powerballs. And holy smokes, we made them in the collective yesterday. And I warned them, they taste like a payday bar, except it's got double the protein, half the fat, a fraction of the calories, and there's 5 total net carbs in these things, but they taste like a freaking payday bar. And I was like, hey guys, heads up. Here's the thing. They're so delicious. It's going to be hard not to just start popping these things in your mouth because they hit just right. So yeah, Sarah, I feel you there. I might have had a few. Can you really have too many? Especially because if it fits in your macros, great. But yeah, they're pretty money, huh? And if you guys did see my story earlier about sailing those zucchini boats across the counter, they came from they came from our meal prep, and I was like, how can I make these things fun enough so that my kids are going to want to eat them? So I took chopsticks and I just took a piece of paper and I threw a sail in there, and I was like, yo, that's cool. And then I'm like, okay, hold on, I need to like lay them all out, put them on my countertop, and have some fun with this thing. So anyway, all right, guys, getting back to some of these comments. Holy smokes, man! Looks like there were a few things that threw us off this weekend. But again, guys, thank you for sharing this and for naming it so that you could, again, you can get it out, you can see it, and so we can do something about it now that it's out. And or sometimes that thing is just getting past it and letting it go, whatever it is. Stacy Capadona says you need the payday Powerballs. Don't you worry, my friend. They're on the way. But Janet says it also. Rest assured, keep an eye on my Instagram stories. I'll roll it out maybe in a few weeks. And then I'll also roll it. I'll post it here in just a little bit. We still have to. We got to create a really beautiful design on the PDF, which is almost done. I just got to polish it up. But we always pre-create these, obviously, for the collective, and so we can make them all together. Speaking of which, though, FYI, my friends, obviously you guys know that I love meal prepping. I love making food in the kitchen, and the recipe book that I've been working on for quite some time now, I will be rolling it out in a few weeks, and so stay tuned for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I really hope you guys love these recipes because we put a lot into it, but they've been tested and approved by quite a few, and I am so fired up to share these with you guys. So it'll be awesome. All right, guys. So here we go. One more question for you. I want to know. So say you were thrown off over the weekend. Fair enough. Here's something I always love to say. I didn't make it up. I heard it. I don't know who came up with it, but it was the saying, you're always one meal away from being right back on track. And it's true. If you think about it, you're like literally, if you got thrown off, fine. Leave it in the weekend. We named it. You can tame it. Now you're one meal away from being right back on track. So there's no reason to bring that, whatever happened over the weekend, into the rest of the week. It's Monday. It's a fresh new start. So, but here's the question. It's not just a meal away from being right back on track. You could be a workout away from being right back on track. You could be a glass of water away from being right back on track. You could be a walk away from being right back on track. So what's easier for you? What's the lowest barrier of entry for you to get back on track? And I'm going to give you two options. Is it a nutrition option, which could be a glass of water, a meal, whatever that might be, or I'd say a healthier meal, or would it be more movement, exercise? Is it going to be a workout, a walk, maybe go on a jog, whether you're doing cardio, resistance training, whatever it is, nutrition or exercise? Which is easier for you to get back on track? What's the lowest barrier of entry for you? Stephanie says going on a walk. Yep. I love it. Let me see. Ellen says exercise. Yep. TF Simonak says exercise. Suns89, walking, exercise. Tina says nutrition's easiest. Georgia says nutrition. So Facebook says nutrition. Instagram says exercise. Let's see. Oh, what up, Eddie? Yeah, Eddie's honest. He's like, nutrition's my weakest area. So exercise can be easier. Carrie says exercise. A Haney says exercise. Costanza Bartaccioni says exercise. Let's see. Kim says drinking water. Super easy, right? Right back on track. You literally can do it. Purple Ivy, walking exercise. So yeah, lots. Pascal, I'm right there with you about. Pascal says, Ludi Pascal says 70% exercise or 70% nutrition, 30% exercise. Nicole Townsend, exercise. Marcia Kashaw, exercise. Sarah says nutrition. Okay. Cherie says more movement. Emily Clemens says exercise. Maria, nutrition. Sorry, guys. I'm still on the tail end of this stupid chest infection I got like a month ago. I'm still confident of. Mary Chloe says nutrition is easier. Yep. Okay. Good to know. So, by the way, here's the thing. Based on your answer, then that's going to be your go-to. If you found yourself maybe a little bit off track, what's it going to take today? If you said exercise, whatever that might be, go on a walk, do a 5-minute warm-up, and you're right back on track. You are re-engaged in your transformation. If you said nutrition, have that glass of water, the extra quart of water, flavor it. Cheers. I'm flavored right now. Blueberry lemonade, always. Well, 90% of the time. Make that meal, whatever it is. Guys, like it's literally at our fingertips. If you find yourself derailed right now, you could be 5 minutes away from being right back on track, whatever that is. So just keep that in mind. All right, my friends, time is flying by. Okay, let's have a little more fun here. All right. Real quick, yo, who's got their water with them right now? Speaking of which, hey, if anyone out here, if anyone is off track, then jump right back on track with me right now. Let's go ahead and try this. Right, here's what I want you guys to do. We're going to do right now, just together, we're going to get, if you got off track and perhaps drinking your water, maybe it's going to be, a small meal, whatever that might be, but let's focus on water. If you got your water with you right now, give it a little cheers, and we're going to do the 10 gulp rule, 10 gulps before you put that down. And guess what? You're going to well hydrate your body, at least in this moment, on the goal of ultimately, hopefully, maybe consuming half your body weight in ounces today, but who knows? We can get there eventually. But let's just take 10 gulps before putting it down. We're going to do this together, guys. We're all in it together. Here we go. All right. So now, for some of you, welcome back. Let's go. All right, rock and roll. Let me see. Holy smokes. Someone just got my attention here. Yo, Nick Palms. Nick Palms works for a company that I've had my eye on them for so long. He works for Rezvani Motors. And I don't know if anyone here knows what a Rezvani is. They make some of the coolest cars y'all have ever seen in your entire life. They are freaking incredible. So I saw a Rezvani probably about 6 months ago down in Gilbert, Arizona, and it absolutely blew my mind. But I've been a fan of these cars for a long time. Yo, Nick, yeah, I'll hit you up for sure, man. Yo, by the way, how cool is that working for Rezvani? I know the whole backstory with the gentleman. I know he's got a history of with fighter planes and everything and F4s. My dad was an F4 pilot, by the way, and so just like the whole backstory with Rezvani is it's so incredible. So I love what you guys are doing. Just the absolutely coolest stuff ever. And yeah, you're whenever I open up my Instagram, you're always at the top of my feed. So I love it. Okay, cool. All right, guys, go ahead and put me in the hot seat. Let's go. Let's have some fun. Ask any questions, and let's rock and roll. Oh, Janet, it's it's RESVANI. I'm sorry. It's REZVANI. 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 Okay, here we go. Questions. So Jen O'Brien says, do I think that people can use GLP medications to lose weight and then maintain when they go off the medications? 1000%. Let's talk about this, my friends. Obviously, GLP-1 medications are extremely popular, and I think, in my opinion, they're a really powerful tool. We can't have the conversation, though, about utilizing a tool like this also without talking about the importance of building those pillars of wellness underneath it, because here's what they can do. They're going to remove hunger and cravings, and they're also going to remove the food noise. Those are two different things. So they're going to reduce your physical hunger and cravings, which that alone is a very powerful tool, so that you're not in the red zone all the time. But I think it's just as or more powerful the fact that they do help remove the food noise. I've been helping people transform their lives for over 20 years. I've been in the trenches with them. And let me tell you, yeah, and I've mentioned this time and again before, but they would give anything to stop the food noise. From the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed, it's just this constant chatter of what am I going to eat? And they're thinking about the food, and it's constantly pulling them. And there is so much struggle throughout the day. So to be able to reduce that is extremely powerful. However, Think about it just like any medication. If you have, say, um, high blood pressure and you go on a high blood pressure medication, do you continue to eat a bunch of crap food and not move your body and just keep taking the medication so that you don't have a heart attack? Or is the best thing to do is take the medication now so you don't have a heart attack in the next 3 months and then start sleeping better? Start making some better food choices. Start moving your body a little bit more. And guess what? After 3 months, you can start to come off that medication because guess what? Your blood pressure is going to come back down and you're not going to be at risk of heart attack anymore. It's like any medication that you're going to take. What a powerful tool to help stop the bleeding now so that you don't have this constant interference while you're trying to lose weight. So at least get rid of the hunger, get rid of the food noise, start the medication. Again, it's not for everybody, but for those who have done the research, you've spoken with your licensed practitioner, and you decide it's best for you, start the medication so you can begin the weight loss journey. And while you're losing the weight, it's your responsibility, though, to start building those pillars of wellness underneath so you are getting good sleep and you are eating well and you begin moving, and you don't have to throw the kitchen sink at it at once, but just start layering what we call lifestyle layers on there. And what's going to happen is, number one, it will accelerate the rate at which you actually lose the weight. But as you start to build those wellness pillars underneath it, you're going to feel absolutely incredible. But over time, as you adopt those behaviors and you lose the weight, well, then if those behaviors are adopted, then when you've lost the weight and it's time to transition into the next chapter of your life, which is going to be maintenance, then I would say, why don't you go ahead and make the transition? And as you can maintain those pillars of wellness underneath, you can start to perhaps, again, speak with your practitioner, but titrate down the amount at which you're taking so you can start to remove or transition off the medication. And then you can really start to pay attention and listen to your body. And it creates that incredible awareness. And so and also here's the best part. When you're at a calorie deficit and you're losing weight, your body's naturally going to be hungry. Like, it's going to be hungry. There's going to be more hunger and cravings. That's part of the natural hormonal response to a deficit. But when you're back at maintenance, guess what? If you're eating some really delicious, filling foods that are high in protein, you can, by the way, this is why I'm so passionate about teaching people how to make comfort foods that are high in protein, high in fiber, high in volume, so that you can still have all those feels, but you're going to be eating foods that make you feel full so that you can transition beautifully off of these medications. So I'm a huge believer, and I'm a supporter of anyone who chooses to use those medications for the journey. Let's go. I would say a large percentage of the folks I'm working with right now are utilizing them. And it's hugs and high fives all the way. But guess what? They're with my community because we're putting in the work to build those wellness pillars underneath so that they can transition off. And then there's also a large percentage of individuals that are not utilizing them and they're simply putting in the work as well. And everyone's getting good results. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on the GLP-1 medications. Again, I'm sure there's plenty of people that might disagree with me, but that's my approach to it. I absolutely support anyone who's using them. And I want to give everybody the tools and the knowledge that they need to use them wisely as they're as they're going through the journey and then transitioning. But I also can't have this conversation without also talking about the fact that it would probably be extremely beneficial if you also had spoke with a licensed practitioner who could kind of help you through, especially if you have binge eating disorder or anything like that. Someone who could really help you understand your behaviors and why you might be reaching for food in the first place. If you're reaching for food beyond feeling full, if it's no longer physical hunger, but it's an emotional kind of hunger, you really need to start to understand yourself. You have to get that under control. Otherwise, no medication will solve that problem. That's work that you need to do with a licensed practitioner who can really help you through that journey, who can give you the tools and the tips and tactics to really do something about it. And so that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, that was a brilliant question. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, here we go. More questions, my friends. All right. Okay, so let me see. Here we go. Mirage Memor says, do I believe in complete rest days or still getting some type of low impact movement like walking, yard work, yoga, etc.? I actually believe in some sort of light movement. You know, that's really what rest days, even the concept behind rest days was not just to lay down and just kind of chill and not move all day. The concept, I think when done effectively, keeping that light movement going it's beautiful, and it's not absolutely necessary, maybe for some, but at the same time, I'm all for light stretching, yard work, maybe some yoga, but nothing intense. You know, the body still needs to rest and relax, but there's nothing better than a good walk, especially on a rest day. And a lot of times, also when if we're talking about like reducing soreness, you know, soreness is a result, that delayed onset of muscle soreness. It's a result of fluid buildup, right? So our muscles are like these sliding filaments, right? And what will happen is that when we put those filaments under tension in a workout, then there's damage that occurs to the muscle, to the sliding filaments. There's these actin and myosin heads. It's like these little caterpillar feet that are gripping and pulling, and the little caterpillar feet can break off, and it causes inflammation. And fluid builds up around those little microfiber tears, if you will. And it's the fluid that builds up that actually irritates the nerve endings, those little nociceptors, right? The pain receptors, and it creates muscle soreness. But when you walk, guess what? It starts to move that fluid. And so all of a sudden, you know, if you just lay on the ground all day for your rest day, chances are the next day you're going to be insanely sore. Whereas if you actually walked and you actually did a little bit of light movement, it would probably greatly reduce a lot of your muscle soreness. So anyway, I hope that helps. And keep moving on your rest days. Nothing intense, but just keep the fluid moving through your body. It's good for you. Okay, here we go. More questions. Here we go. Beautiful question right here from Katie Johnson. Where does a woman in her late 50s start with her strength training? What a great question. And I'm so glad that you're asking this, because this is so imperative for all women, especially women, menopause, post-menopause, to incorporate resistance training into your lives, because if you don't use it, you will lose it. And now is the time to at least maintain the metabolic engine that you have. It will greatly improve the quality of your life for years to come. And so where do you start? You're going to start, well, number one of the best things you can do is just educate yourself with some of the basic movements. Here's the way I like to think about it, because if we're trying to preserve muscle, well, let's understand where the largest muscles are on our body. And the largest muscle group is going to be our legs. It's going to be your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings. Those are 1, 2, and 3 right there. And so let's think about some movements that we can do to maximize stimulation of those muscles, because those are the ones, if there's 3 muscles I don't want to lose, it's those. And I don't want you to lose them either. So what are some movements that we can do to stimulate those largest muscles of the body? And that's going to be your squats, your lunges, and, you know, basically it's a lot of different squat and lunge variations. And for glutes, you could also do hip thrusts, etc. But squats and lunges, those tend to be the dominant movements that stimulate the most muscle fibers for those muscles. And so one of the best things you can do, in fact, I just did, by the way, and it's posted on Instagram. Go back, just like 2 of my second to last post was about how to do a squat. I would love for you to take a look at it. And it's just the basic cues on setting up to do a basic squat. And I also give 3 different levels of intensity there: squatting to a bench, squatting without the bench, and then actually adding a little bit of weight to your squat. So that's a beautiful place to start, is learning how to do it, not increasing the intensity much at all, because it's all about learning the movement first. So always focus on a good, clean biomechanics of the movement. That's rule number 1. And then number 2, be able to perform that movement well consistently. And only when you can do that movement well consistently, then you start to increase your intensity by increasing the weight. So we talked about the largest muscles, 1, 2, 3, glutes, quads, and hamstrings. Well, now let's talk about the next biggest muscles, 4, 5, and 6. And so that's where we're going to be talking about your back, your lats. It's a massive muscle. And that's going to be, you build that from pulling. And then 5 is going to be your chest muscles. And then 6, I believe it might be the abdominal muscles. And so again, we want to go after those biggest muscles. probably what I would recommend for any woman, in her 50s who's just getting started is learning the 3 basic movement patterns. And that's going to be pushing, right, for chest, pulling for your back, and then squatting for your legs. And if you could just master those 3, if you just had 3 movements to do for the rest of your life, master those 3, a basic push, whether you're doing an elevated push-up or whether you're doing push-ups from the ground, or, it's saying a pull, like a rowing movement. Those pushing, pulling, and squatting is going to target the largest muscles of your body. And those are the muscles that you really want to preserve. And if you could push, pull, and squat for the rest of your life, a couple times a week, holy smokes, the quality of your life will go up significantly and it will stay there for years to come. And also, not when I say the quality of your life, physically and mentally, because there's a huge correlation between the amount of muscle mass that you can maintain on your body and age-related cognitive decline. And so, guys, movement is everything, and resistance training, your muscle is key to a better quality of your life. So this is a lot to dive in there, but I really hope that helps. Educate yourself on how best to go through those movements, how to perform them well, perform them consistently well. And then I want you to start increasing intensity once you can perform those movements consistently well. That's the answer right there for you. Hope it helps. Great question. All right. Here we go. So here we go. Let me see. Looking at this. Jennifer, great question. Jennifer Marie says, regarding squats and lunges, can we do lighter weights and higher reps? Your neck and back are hurt these days. If you load up the weight on the Smith machine or a leg press with higher weight and squats with lighter weight, be beneficial. It will be. Here's the thing. If our goal is stimulation of that muscle for muscle growth, if that's our goal, then you can get incredible results. You can get an incredible stimulus for growth with heavy weights and low reps and with lighter weights and higher reps. Here's the catch. And this is the asterisk on this thing. The stimulus for growth only happens in like the real powerful stimulus, the one that you want. It only happens in those last couple reps, whether the weight's super heavy or whether the weight's light and you're doing a lot of reps. It's only going to happen in that place where the muscle starts to really fatigue and you're having a hard time completing that rep and you're pushing as hard as you can. That's when that signal gets sent. I like to think about it as like lighting a little, it's almost like lighting a fire inside of that muscle. And so here's what I do. I'm going to give you the secret sauce right here. If you really want to get a strong stimulus, now granted, and you've already gone through the basics and you can perform the movement well, you can perform it consistently well, and now you're looking for intensity, here's how you find intensity. I call it the +3 method. Everyone pull out your notebook. Here's what I want you to do. You're going to go ahead and let's just say the movement is going to be a chest press or any kind of press, whether it's a push-up, it's a bench press, it's a dumbbell press, whatever. It's a chest press. So you're going to be taking your body, even at lightweight and high reps. Say high reps, you're at 15 reps, 16 reps, and all of a sudden it's like, ooh, that last one was tough. Here's what we do. After you can no longer perform a full range of motion, then I want you to push and you won't get it all the way. And that's totally fine. You're going to come right back down and that's 1. And then you're going to push again and you don't get it all the way. And there's 2. And then you're going to push one more time. And as soon as that movement stops, you're going to hold it there for 3 seconds. I'm just saying, if you want a stimulus for growth, lightweight or heavyweight, then I do the +3 method, which means that when I can't do a full range of motion anymore, I do 3 partial reps and then I do a 3-second hold. And holy smokes, you want results? Combine that with adequate protein intake and adequate calories, obviously, because you need to actually supply your body with a surplus of calories in order to make some muscle. Good sleep, water, all that good stuff. Talk about growing a freaking muscle. Those are the ingredients. That's how you bake a muscle, like baking a cake, right? You got to get that stimulus in there with a +3 method. Then you throw in adequate protein, good sleep, all that good stuff, surplus calories. Man, you will grow muscle. So, and Jennifer, you can absolutely do it at 15, 16, 20 reps. Here's one little caveat. I'm just going to throw this out there. if there's any exercise physiologist going, I wonder if he's going to mention this. There is a greater load on the nervous system at higher reps. And so your nervous system will become more fatigued. If at lower reps, there's going to be less fatigue of the nervous system, the central nervous system. But again, we don't need to get into semantics here or anything like that. Just know, yeah, you can absolutely get the results that you're looking for at higher reps and avoid pain. Which, by the way, I think it's really important that you do. You listen to your body. Heavyweight hurts, don't do heavyweight. I say lighten the load, knock yourself out, take it to failure, +3 method. Man, I'm stoked for where you're going to go with this. That's awesome. Going back to the GLP 3 or GLP-1 thing, I see Andrea lost the food noise and 50 pounds. Congratulations, my friend. All right. I love the name Queen Thunder Thighs. What's up, my friend? Said she started her carb cycling journey. Yay. So cool. You also do intermittent fasting. No problem. You can absolutely carb cycle and intermittent fast. How often do you eat? However often you want. Just keep it within the intermittent fasting window. And and then you're just simply going to cycle between high carb days and low carb days. Now, we talked about this last week. Remember the high carb days, when it comes to a starter cycle, remember, I just like to start out everybody on a starter cycle. Monday through Wednesday, high carb day, Thursday through Saturday, low carb day. And that way you really start to feel your body going through a carb cycle. You start to feel high carb days, and then you feel low carb days. And it tells you a lot about how your body responds. Everybody responds differently. Right? You can almost put everyone into two different buckets. And we talked about this last week. Right? There's half the people, they respond really well to high carb days and they feel terrible on low carb days. And half the people respond terrible on high carb days and they respond well on low carb days. That's why we call it a starter cycle. It tells you everything you need to know. And then from there, that's when you can start to tweak the cycles a little bit, and you can bring your carbs up or you can bring your carbs down based on how you feel and your energy levels and your focus and everything. And here's the thing, as long as you remain at a calorie deficit, you can get all the benefits of carb cycling, but you're never going to go through these days or you're just exhausted and you're just or you're hungry and you're chasing the blood sugar wave if your body doesn't respond well to high carb days. And so it's just, I love it. I love teaching carb cycling because while an overall calorie deficit will always be the driving force behind weight loss, I believe in carb cycling really well because it teaches you and it creates body awareness so that you can feel your body through the journey, and you can't unlearn that stuff. It's your body and you feel it. It tells you how it's responding, and then you can start to manipulate it from there and make little tweaks. So and then for those of you asking, like when I am doing my next challenge, it will be coming up. We'll open up the doors in August, and I'll be doing my next challenge in September. So I do 2 a year, usually at the beginning of January, and then this one will be, back to school, back to you. And because I know there's a lot of people that want to jump in there after a crazy summer, and you want to learn how to do it. So we'll do that. We'll definitely do it. And then from there, when you do complete a challenge with me, then everyone, you do have to complete a challenge to join the collective, because it's important we set a foundation for how the whole thing works. And then the collective, they are all there to support each other through the journey of carb cycling and through the journey of transformation. And so that's why we make food together on weekends and everything. So in fact, guys, today is the 1 year anniversary of the collective. So we turn 1 year today, and we've got our whole crew there. And it's really cool because we got just people who've completely changed their lives, which has just been a lot of fun. So we're having a little birthday party tonight, and it's going to be a blast. All right. Let me see. Any other questions you guys have got for me? Let me see here. Ooh, ton of questions. Okay. So Angelia says, what causes the brain fog? Well, I can speak to carb cycling. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could cause brain fog, but for some individuals, keep in mind your brain, the preferred source of fuel for your brain is glucose. And any carbohydrate that you consume, whether it's a banana or oatmeal or a payday bar or cheesecake, all of that, all the carbohydrates in that, they're going to be broken down into sugar, into glucose, and that glucose feeds the brain. And the numbers might be a little bit off here, but I do believe the brain consumes about 5 grams of glucose every hour. That's what it likes to eat, which is wonderful. And here's the thing, that's where we're in carb cycling. When you actually have like these low carb days, when you go from a high carb day to a low carb day, your brain goes from like super happy on a high carb day because it's getting all this glucose. And then all of a sudden, it's not getting as much glucose anymore. So you start to feel a dip. And some people respond, they respond poorly because all of a sudden the glucose starts to go away and the brain goes, "Ooh." Now, here's the thing. The brain also can feed off of ketone bodies, and your body will produce ketone bodies after a couple days when it goes into something called ketosis, right? We all know about keto. I'm sure a lot of us have probably heard about it. And keto, the whole concept there is to reduce carbohydrate intake to the point where your body, actually your liver, starts producing ketone bodies to feed your brain. It's a survival mechanism that we created over thousands of years of evolution in order to survive famine. And so, which is a brilliant thing. However, when we're carb cycling, we're not doing that. We are actually feeding our brain and our body carbohydrates for all kinds of reasons. Increased metabolic rate. Yes, it does that. More carbs do that. It also obviously feeds the brain. It loads your muscles with glycogen for better performance. And then we drop it into lower carbs, and your body is actually going to mobilize and at the deficit, it's going to oxidize a lot of fat that way. So here's the thing. A lot of times as you start to go through that cycle, you'll feel it. That's why if we don't have to drop carbs too much, you can actually keep a significant amount in there when you're carb cycling so that you don't feel that brain fog. You don't dip too hard. Other individuals that do much better on low carb days because their blood sugar levels are a little bit more stable on a low carb day because they don't rise and fall so much. They don't do well on high carb days because say they're going to consume something with carbohydrate, their blood sugar levels go up, and then after an hour or two, all of a sudden their blood sugar levels drop, and then they get that brain fog because their blood, again, the blood sugar went up and then it dropped. And when the blood sugar drops, guess what's not getting glucose anymore? Our brain. And so there's a lot of different things that are going to, there are all these different factors. And again, your body is so unique. It's going to respond in whichever way it's going to respond. And the most important thing is that you understand how it works. You understand that your body is going to tell you whether it's going to prefer a low carb day or a high carb day, and you listen to it and then you honor it. And you start to understand these conversations. Right now, your body is talking to you. It's sending you signals based on your energy levels, your mental clarity, your ability to focus, your hunger levels, your sleep, all these different things. And so you really start to listen to it, and if you understand the language that your body is speaking, and you can stop and listen to it, and then you can honor it, and it will guide you where you need to go. It's a really cool thing. All right, so let me see here. Holy smokes, the time is flowing. It's flying by. You know, it's really cool. I just want to give a quick shout out to all my peeps that are actually in the collective. They're jumping in right here. So thanks guys. They're answering some questions because as the questions are coming through. All right, here we go. Any more questions? Okay, so it's me, Kat says, how does the body composition change when eating more processed foods versus whole foods? So here's the thing. And by the way, it's me, Kat. It's a brilliant question. Here's in my experience, and again, plenty of people, they can disagree with me, but I've been doing this for quite some time, and I can tell you, as long as you are consuming adequate protein, whether it's processed or not, you are consuming adequate, and again, you're being not meticulous. You're being strategic with your carbohydrate and your fat intake, etc. Whether it's processed or not, I don't think it's going to impact your body composition much at all. Here's what it will impact, though. When you consume more processed foods, if we're just talking body composition, I don't think it will not impact it much. Now, granted, we can get a lot more granular when we're just dealing with real whole natural foods. So if you're going to put someone on stage in a bodybuilding competition, right, you want them as lean as possible and as muscular as possible, but also to reduce as much water, subcutaneous water on their body as possible. This is where processed foods can really throw us all off. Because processed foods, our body tends to hold a lot more subcutaneous water when we consume processed foods. So, whereas real whole natural foods, our body simply does not hold as much subcutaneous water on our body when we're consuming real whole natural foods. So, you can see a really big difference when you switch from eating processed foods to real whole natural very quickly. Or you can see a really just as fast of a switch when you go from eating real whole natural foods to processed foods. All of a sudden, you eat a processed food and you're like, yeah, but my calories are still the same. Even if your calories were the same, guess what's going to happen? If you're consuming, say, 2,000 calories a day of real whole foods, and then you start eating 2,000 calories a day of processed foods, what's going to happen to your body weight? If that's maintenance, your body weight's actually going to go up. You want to know why? It's not that, but your body fat is not going to go up and your muscle is not going to go down or anything like that. Your body composition remains the same. But when you start consuming more processed foods, your body simply carries more subcutaneous water. It's just the way it is. And so it throws a lot of people off. And so when they start to clean that out and they go back to those real whole natural foods, you're going to lose 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 pounds of water that your body's just hanging on to. And so it's processed foods are like a magnet for water in whatever capacity they are. And of course, if you're eating more carbohydrate, that carbohydrate's going to get drawn into the muscle and it's going to suck in a bunch of water with it because carbohydrate, think about that also, hydrate. So it's a carbohydrate. Actually, if you look at it, it almost looks like a fidget spinner, right? So it's got the center carbohydrate and it's got like 3 parts water around it. Put it this way, for every gram of carbohydrate that you have, it holds 3 grams of water. It holds on to that. And then when carbohydrate gets pulled into your muscle and then it pulls the water in there with it. So your muscles really start to swell with water, but then you see the scale go up. I'm totally on a tangent right now, but I just thought I'd bring that up just in case people, this is also why you see water fluctuations when you consume carbohydrates and when you don't. This is why you see water fluctuations when you have high carb days. Guess what happens on the scale? It goes up and then you drop into low carb days and it comes back down. This is another reason why I love carb cycling. And I don't mean to say you're preaching about carb cycling, but it's cool because it removes all the fear that you have about water fluctuations because you really start to understand your body and how it fluctuates with water. So you stop chasing water because you actually ride the wave of it intentionally every week. And it's a really cool thing to actually see how your body responds with carbohydrate and with water. So, and yes, it's me, Kat. The inflammation causes that as well. There is absolutely going to be a little bit more inflammation, and that inflammation will cause water retention. You're spot on. All right. And Extraordinary Lovers TV says sodium is the most necessary nutrient for humans. I don't know if it's the most necessary, but it is 1,000% absolutely necessary. We must have it to live. And it was demonized for a long time. And now, granted, because going back to processed foods, a lot of these processed foods are just overloaded with a ton of sodium, loaded it up, and which is not necessary. Of course, they did that for flavor and for all kinds of reasons, but nevertheless, but it is a absolutely necessary nutrient. And when you start eating healthier foods and start eating more real whole natural foods, guess what? You probably need to start salting your foods more because it's really easy for people to lose sodium really fast if they're not consuming enough processed foods. And when they lose all that sodium, it can actually start to mess with the heart a little bit. I mean, it can cause all kinds of damage. And so we'll actually have people start salting their foods a lot more when they start removing processed foods because they need that sodium just to maintain their normal fluid balance. Because, man, if you lose 1% to 2% of your body's water, you're in trouble, big trouble. Your metabolism drops. You can have heart issues. I mean, it wrecks you because hydration, hydration, hydration. It is the foundation for transformation. You like what I did there? Oh, awesome. Guys, hey, great questions all around. I absolutely love this. I apologize I'm not able to get to all of them, but I do need to wrap it up for the day. I hope you guys, I hope y'all got at least something from this. I'm loving jumping in here on Mondays and hanging out with y'all. So, anyway, really, really hope this helps. And yeah, guys, have the most wonderful Monday. Whatever word that you actually dropped in to represent your word for the week, let's live it. Let's get out there. Let's absolutely crush it this week. Y'all got this, and I will see you guys next Monday. So, guys, well, I'll see you in my stories. I'll see you in my posts. We'll be back. In the meantime, guys, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you on Monday. All right, see ya.